out and back again.
Welcome to the Soul of Melbourne, a podcast for skiers and riders, coming to you from the Ski Heritage Center Museum of Skiing, located on Wisconsin Avenue, right out our window, on the way to Whitefish Mountain Resort. At this point, I should thank our sponsors, American Bank of Montana, with offices here in Whitefish, in Bozeman, at Big Sky, and in Livingston, and the Hidden Moose Lodge, located here in Whitefish on Wisconsin Avenue, just between our location here and the turnoff to Whitefish Mountain Resort. I can start?
You can start.
Okay. Hello. Well, we're pleased to welcome our guests today. We're going to tell the story of Blacktail from day one, D-Day, D-Hour, minus about 18 months, 24 months, probably.
About, yes.
Steve Spencer and Jesse Spencer Wood.
Correct.
Spencer
Yep.
Wood, right. Steve's retired, so Jesse's in charge. So tell me what to do next.
Well, you better ask him some questions because he knows the whole history.
So we're gonna start with I asked Steve to go back to the very moment that you even had an inkling that this might happen. Be a good idea. Hey, why don't we look into this?
Well, I think it started for me a long time ago. I'd worked at Big Mountain for 27 years. I started there in '67. And we had a snow ranger there. His name was Fred Andres, better known as Fritz Andres.
Yeah.
And he was the snow ranger. And one of his duties was they were doing a snow study on Blacktail Mountain from 1965 to 1970. And there was a guy named Al Seeley in Lakeside that was the push behind it. But back then, the Forest Service were really instrumental in providing recreation. When he brought an interest, these guys, they weren't sitting in front of computers. They were going out on snowshoes and skis and laying out timber sails. And there was this interest in a ski area on Blacktail Mountain. And so they did a snow study at all elevations with skiing in mind. And they were comparing them to the chalet at Big Mountain at the time. In that series of years, they had adequate snow to ski by the 1st of December every year. And they were looking at a different place totally than what we did. The Air Force built the radar in '58, so the road was in since '58.
Right.
And the Air Force Base was there and active. And Al Seeley's idea was to ski on Kerr Mountain, which is the mountain that you drive across.
Right.
To get up to Blacktail.
Okay.
And it's a little lower. It's only at 6,400 feet top. But he was going to ski down to the private land. He was taking the Big Mountain model, or, let's have some private land in the base and ski on the Forest Service land. And so...
Skiing into the same drainage there?
No.
Skiing off the other side.
Yeah, we are. We're skiing off the other side.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was the other side from where you were.
Yeah, they were right where the road is, basically.
Right, okay.
And that's what put the kibosh on. I mean, the Forest Service was all for it. They were going to ski on Kerr Mountain, which crossed the Air Force Road several times. And they, bottom line, they wanted to have the Air Force move the road to the south side of Kerr so they could ski on the north side of Kerr, which was, I don't know why they thought that could happen, but the Air Force wasn't interested.
So they should have maintained on the south side, wouldn't it?
It would have been, yeah, but they just, it was a major deal to build this road.
Yeah.
So the top up there was 14 miles, and they they could have rolled around the ridge right at the 5 mile where the tribal land was, and down the south side.
Right.
But that's what stopped it. So anyway, there was some data there, it was interesting. And the other thing is that, when there's the inversion days are there, the whole valley's just a lake of clouds. The only thing that stick up over there was Blacktail Mountain.
Yeah.
And it's actually 30 feet taller than Big Mountain. People don't realize that, but it's up there.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it doesn't go down as low. We
Right.
go to 5250 elevation where they're under 5,000 feet. over here.
So that early on conversation with Fritz, what year are we talking about for that trip first?
Well, I started in '67, and that's when I met Fritz, really, and yeah, so, and he was doing the snow study, one of the guys that was doing the snow study, and they were up there, you know, a couple of times a month, I think,
Yeah.
measuring snow on snowshoes, and, well, so it was a legitimate study.
Right.
And then as years went by, you know, I worked there in Big Mountain for a long time, and I could kind of see things changing a little bit. I guess it was getting, I saw people dropping out, you know, just getting a little pricing for some, a little glitzy for some. I just, you know, I had in my mind, let's get back to basics. What's wrong with just skiing, you know,
Yeah.
instead of having a real estate project. And then this seemed like, you know, a perfect spot. It's never will be a real estate project. It's on what's called the Island Units, which is a little under 50,000 acres of Forest Service land, all surrounded by private land. And you know, it's known as the Island Unit just for that reason. So there's no endangered species issues there. You know, it would be a poor place to encourage grizzly bear, because any place they go from, they're going to be in somebody's backyards. And so that was one thing that you know, there hadn't been a ski area approved when we started this process in '96, since 1978 when Beaver Creek went in. So probably the most impossible thing to do at that time was to get a ski area permit on Forest Service land. And that was the first one in 20 years, and it's probably going to be the last.
Well, I was going to ask if there's been any since then.
Don't go. Yeah.
There've been
There's been some that have been rehabilitated that had previous permit.
Well, okay.
But it, you know, we got to talking, a bunch of us, the partners were all people that I worked with. They were contractors to Big Mountain. One was Dennis Carver, said Carver Engineering, and he did all our sewer and water. He designed the sewer line from the Summit House to Whitefish. And Tom Sands, who had the survey operation and did all the profiles for Big Mountain, plus all their surveying, and he did such a quality profile that Doppelmayr and different manufacturers, you know, it's ski area's responsibility to provide a profile so they can design the lift. And they liked his profile so well that they would recommend to other skiers. So he traveled, you know, around the country about doing those profiles. So, and then Jeff Sword was the other partner, and he built the shop in '82, and he built the Summit House in '85. So these are all guys that we worked together. You know, I was the mountain manager at Big Mountain at the time, and then, you know, we all brought something to the table. You know, so, you know, Tom did a 2-foot top over the top of the mountain, so we designed the base area with a quality mapping, and he profiled all the lifts, and Dennis did all the sewer, water, and the structural in the buildings, and Jeff built the lodge, and I did the ski side of it, laying out the runs and positioning the lifts. So it was a sweat equity project. You know, everybody brought something to the table, and it's hard to imagine anybody doing it for less money and more efficiently.
I don't think there's another 4 guys out there that could have done what these boys did. Like, let's.
Match, and so we all, you know, got here together and did a few things, and always kept talking about it. Pretty soon we talked ourselves into it, and I had done some groundwork up there, and we had Tom and I walked into the Swan Lake Ranger District over in Big Fork and told them we wanted to start a ski area on Blacktail Mountain. The receptionist said, "Well, yeah." But she brought Remy Pochelon out, who was the recreation specialist at Swan Lake, and he was an old school guy, a volunteer ski patrol at Discovery Basin, where he came from, and Chuck Harris was the district ranger, who again was a ski patrolman, a volunteer ski patrolman, and old school Forest Service guys. You know, we kind of expected to get kind of left out the room, you know, but then we started talking to Remy first, and right away he said, "Well, I got to go get Chuck." And that started the process. And
so that's in the Swan District.
yes,
It's Flathead National Forest, but we're in the
Swan
Swan.
Lake District.
yeah, and it's because it's the island unit. It's kind of, you know, it's across the lake, basically, you know,
Yeah.
from the rest of the district. And, because it's the island unit, it had some permissions given to it just because.
Right.
Back in the day when there was an allowable cut on the timber for the side of National Forest, if they hadn't met their allowable cut yet, they'd say, well, go to the island unit, because there was no environmental issues.
Right.
So we couldn't figure out why they would stop us.
Yeah.
So we started the process in early '96, I guess. And we finally got a permit in September of '97. We got a site permit.
October of 97.
With October.
Exactly. I just read it out. We're doing master development.
So anyway, long story short, we were kind of expecting there's 4 major environmental groups in the area, all of which are associated with the Sierra Club in one way or the other, and we were expecting that to be the push, but remember the pushback, and the environmental community was for it. They liked the idea that it was in the island unit. It wasn't over in the Swan someplace. I mean, you could have been up to 6 Mile in the Swan and probably had a better site for a ski area, but it would have been dead on arrival. We didn't say that be. So they liked the idea that it was in the island unit, that it was affordable recreation, that it was never going to be a real estate project. So they kind of supported it. During the comment period, during the environmental analysis, one of the groups came forward and said there's 40 acres of old growth in the center of this. And I had the lower terminals of the lifts closer together, and I had 2 runs going down through the old growth, which I was not aware of. The Forest Service didn't make us aware of it, but it was apparently listed in the forest plan. And you're allowed to take a certain percentage of the old growth, like they do that at timber sales, and what we would have taken would have been within that allowable percentage. And the Forest Service said, well, you can stick with it. You're not taking more than 10% or whatever the number was. And I said, no. I said, these guys brought this up. I came back to them 2 weeks later with what you see today. And it basically turned into 2 separate ski pods with a blank area in the middle. And that's the old growth. And it's below the mid-mountain. We did it between the 2 big lifts. And they, anybody that comments during the comment period during the EA has appeal rights. Okay, if you don't comment in the comment time, then you don't have appeal rights. And there was one group that was asleep at the wheel, I won't say who it was, but they wanted to extend the comment period because they didn't make any comments. And we'd already extended it twice. We did more than our share of public involvement. We were to several town meetings in Lakeside and Kyla and radio.
And made concessions after those meetings and worked with every group.
So anyway, we'd extended it twice, and we just said, no, let's get on with it, because, we don't have deep pockets, and we weren't going to play a long game. We wanted to get on with the decision, let's do it or don't, And if we'd have got big resistance, we'd probably bailed. But we actually found our biggest pushback, not from the environmental community, but oddly enough from the ski industry. And that, which we were naive, I guess, to think that wouldn't happen. But it did, and that was our biggest resistance. I even went to the National Ski Association and got with Galen Christensen at the time. He was a government affairs guy for the National Ski Association, and just asked him to write a letter of support to the Forest Service during the comment period. And he got back to me about a week later, and he said, well, we feel like some of our members would be undue competition to them, and we just can't do it. I was, we're trying to be part of this industry, and they're going to fight us. And I understood what happened. I guess it was not, we weren't meant to be competition. We were thinking of a place where camp kids can learn to ski, and people won't go off out of skiing and grow it. And that's what it really turns into be. I mean, we've got, Jesse will tell you, we got kids that started in our programs when they're 4, 5, 6 that are bringing their kids up there now and doing the same thing, and it's
We grow skiers, that's what you do.
so think about the permit, and this is now the environmental analysis. Okay, because the environmental community didn't appeal the environmental analysis. There were two appeals. One was the guy in Kyla that appeals everything that happens on the island, and another was Lookout Pass Skier, which there was different ownership than before sale at home bought it. That now the forest supervisor kind of looked around the road, and it was like that one guy said, "Mom, I'm gonna have to."
I guess we have to do it.
That's kind of same with us. Hey, we're going to do this.
So, at what point did you tell Mom that you were going to quit your job and build a ski area? Because I think that that's something we should say out loud.
For the record.
I think I told you.
You did tell me first. Mom was the last one.
But a lot of people that tried to get permits. I mean, there was early winners over at Winthrop, Washington, and they spent $15 million and got a permit.
I know.
There's it's Great Northern,
Whoa.
Stu Svensson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did Great Northern and Libby's. They got turned down, and the latest one, like you say, is Lolo Peak. And Lolo Peak had big support from the Forest Service. If you remember, Bob Brandenburg, he was the recreation supervisor for the region of Missoula, and he pushed Lolo Peak big time for years. And they did 2 feasibility studies on it. Neither time did they have a developer, but they had an interested community. And so the last one was in '92, and they got Max Bacchus to come up with $250,000 to do a feasibility study. And basically, they said it was not feasible because at the 5,000-foot elevation, where the snow ends, there's not a suitable base area site. There was not a flat spot. It was a continuous grade. And if McClay had come forward then, he'd show me when he did come in,
Just however many years.
the community didn't like the idea. It was definitely a real estate project with equestrian.
Well, yeah.
Some other stuff that went on with the golf course.
It's just amazing that he went there, cut the lines, and
Yeah, shall the approval.
yeah.
So getting a permit was pretty amazing, and to do it with an environmental analysis and not having to take the more involved step to go out to the environmental impacts, they are really unheard of.
That's amazing. I mean, that's easier than we got approval to put one golf hole along Flathead Lake from the tribes. Freaking bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yours.
And we were prepared to do it at EAS, an environmental impact statement. We thought we'd have to do that. But again, when there were only the 2 appeals, neither was the legitimate in Rod Richardson's eyes, who was the forest supervisor, made the decision. And
So when did you get permit to camp?
October,
October of '97.
but we could not start until, I had all the runs flagged and it was ready to go. We were chomping at the bit to get started because we didn't want to spend any more money. So we wanted to get into an operating season where we could start getting some money back.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't let us start because until the timber sale was cruised all the timber and came up with a value.
How big?
And we lump sum purchased the timber. It was $1.5 million or $2 million board fee. It was a sizable timber sale for the day, Right. It was all timbered. It was not clear cuts or anything. It was all timbered, and so we didn't start building the road from the Blacktail Road in to November 15th, and we opened the following December 10th. Right, everything that's there. I mean, we, to build that in 12 months was, in hindsight, it was too much, but we did it.
Again, those 4 guys.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, the winter months when you were starting into it had to be.
Well, we did all the logging and all the brush brush on it.
That was going to
We
wait.
gripped all the stumps in the winter, in the snow.
Yeah. So
You got to make a burn file out of that. You got to roll the snow out just like you roll the dirt out. But we had 4 great CAT scanners up there, and you know, it was they were guys that knew what they were doing. The breast rigs. Of course, there was only lets you use a breast rig. So they think you got to do an excavator, but to do it was would take 3 times too long.
So when you actually started, like the road, the very first things you were allowed to do, how long was that after you got the permit done?
Right when we got the permit, we went in and built a shop.
Okay.
Okay, so we had a place to work out of, and they let us do that. They just wouldn't let us start logging until our timber sale was complete. And we made a point to, instead of going out for competitive bid for the timber sale, which would have added another 6 months to it probably, we lump sum purchase it. So because it doesn't go out for competitive bid, you pay what they call a bid differential, which is more money. Because it doesn't go out for competitive bid, they add whatever the bid differential bid on similar timber sales.
But you're probably buying a year of operation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we bought it, and then we turned around and sold it to Hearst up at Eureka, and Mark Owens was part of that, and they did all the logging through the winter, and then we followed them up with brush cats and built the runs, and then when spring hit, and we had a few guys working doing some lift stuff because we purchased the lifts, all of them.
So that was going to be another question: is what's the lineage behind the lakes?
Well, they're all used lifts. I know the Thunderhead lift came from Steamboat.
It was called the Thunderhead lift there.
Right.
Yeah, still had the name on the terminal, so I said, why change that?
Well, that's the battery is.
And the Crystal lift came from Crystal Mountains. And, the Olympic lifts came from Calgary Olympic Park, from Calgary. I was there for the Olympics. It served us to jump up. Yeah.
I always tell kids they're riding on the same chair as Olympians.
We did all of it. We built the lodge. We started digging the footings in the lodge in the snow, actually, because we had to build and shoot some rock to get the footings in there. And so we started the lodge probably in March. Didn't really start the lifts until the snow was gone. Yeah, it was just good. So, yeah, we built 3 lifts. Just that summer months,
In the lodge, yeah.
In the lodge in the summer, so. And that included sewer and water, on the well.
And nice. Largest drain field in Flathead Valley.
It is the largest drain field.
I'll be able to do
Yeah. That.
Yep. So, yeah, other than that, the permit was a huge deal.
And your opening day, I think you're going for mostly there through that December.
Yeah.
Well, seriously.
That we opened with the Olympic chair and Crystal. We were having a little trouble with the electronics on that. On the Thunderhead lift, because Steamboat they designed their own low voltage systems, and they felt there was some liability in giving us that. So we had to do our own, and so that took us another week basically. So, but we opened, everything was open before Christmas.
So what was keeping you awake at night from about the time school started until the time you were trying to get the doors open?
We didn't have time to think about it. And there's trucks. All trucks.
No.
Just
I just envisioning.
did you?
Well, envision it on that 14-mile road.
the last leg of the boat was.
Actually, most of it came up super
Too far.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all the timber went out, unless it happened right on the top.
Right.
We came up to that, but everything else came. I tried blue tile.
So did you fly the towers?
Well, there was no help. We did a skyline on the bottom half of Thunder.
Okay.
Because it was too steep to get it.
Yeah.
The skyline, it took us 2 weeks to set up the skyline. And we poured all the concrete 2 days, 10, stood all the towers in another 3 days. With sky.
A little cheaper now.
Little cheaper.
So you had 3 lifts coming from 3 different directions. Pretty much.
Yeah.
They all arrived at the same time.
So, like I went, the Steamboat lift, for instance, they paid Doppelmayr, they were replacing it with a detached.
So they were.
They paid Doppelmayr to take it down, and they flew the towers to a place where we could get trucks. I took down the whole drive terminal, so I knew how it was going back together. So we took a crew down there and loaded all the trucks and then took down the upper terminal, and the three of us went down. And Matt Rothermel and my friend Tez and I.
So how long were you down there? It took
In a couple weeks.
and then truck it back. But
Yeah, we took a diesel pickup down there with a gooseneck trailers full of cribbing, and we took a Bobcat with us, so we could load stuff. And that was 13 trucks to get it up here.
so were there any issues coming across the border with the Canadian?
A little bit, yeah. Well, we wide loaded the whole lower terminal, which is the bull wheel and the drive. Everything had the house on it. It was 22 feet wide. And I just checked on what it would cost to truck it down, and Bitter Trucking out of Missoula actually ran trucks back and forth to Canada all the time. And so she had one of Bitter's guys with a lowboy, because it was high and heavy and wide, 22 feet wide. So we had to, in Canada, we only needed 2 pilot trucks. Once we crossed the border, we needed 3 pilot trucks.
And you didn't know that till you got to the border?
No.
You call
There was a few issues. The other thing is when for the Olympics, they put an intermediate station in for the jumps. Okay. Then because it was a haul lift, and Mueller was based out of Canada, so they had Mueller build a tower
to replace the
to build the intermediate station. We had to put a depress in, and it said Mueller on it, made in Canada. Well, we had to bury that one. It was at the bottom of the towers. Make sure we didn't see that.
Grooming. You bought 2.
Grooming, I bought 1 cat from Big Mountain. It's where did I just the other was from Rivers. I bought 2 from Big Mountain. About 76 and 78. So 2 of the 4 cat. We bought 4 Prinos or 4 Bombardiers. They were at the time.
Yeah.
In 92, I think it was.
Put out Bombardier, that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Missed that.
Yeah, but 2 of those cats that we bought in for Big Mountain. And we ran those for the first 5 years, probably. So then we actually bought a used cat from Mission Ridge.
Yeah.
Before that.
I showed the owners, yeah, we bought this from you. And told us they should have sold that. Then we ran it for,
Yeah.
bought it with 10,000 hours, we put 18,000 on it.
So you opened on December
10th.
Yeah.
In fact,
How many skier visits the first year?
oh, it was sad.
Probably the public didn't think you were really going to make it, so they kind of were ready to go.
Yeah. It was about 20,000. Yes, and we did some research. I mean, again, we just wanted a ski area. We wanted a resort. We wanted to just be a ski area. And back to basics. And the prices, the tickets were $24, I think, that first year. But it took a while to catch on, and it was all at word. We didn't really have a bunch of marketing dollars. There's just word of mouth growth, which is healthy growth. So it was tough. There's still people that have never skied it, and
I'm sure.
they're here in the valley for years.
Yeah. Sure. So what did you do the first year? What was your first year?
Well, so when Dad was building all of this, I was teaching skiing at Big Mountain. I was a senior in high school the year we opened Blacktail, and I came on board as a ski instructor, and on weekends, because I was in high school.
The whole crew that started the first year, how many people were still there?
Me and Davey.
You and Davey.
Me and Davey. Yeah. And Dad.
So Rock's not anymore?
No, Rock
Yeah,
retired.
health issues.
Yeah.
So how long ago did you retire?
2 years ago, 3.
3. This is Sarah Beth's 3rd year running the rental shop. So.
Yeah, Shelly got.
That's it was he's a hard one to lose.
He's an institution.
Yeah.
Yeah. I miss him every day. Morning coffee with Rock was an experience.
He had a great mentor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got quite a few big long stories to tell.
Yeah.
And you know, when we offered him a job up there running the ski shop, well, he'd always worked at ski shops, you know, and he shod horses in the summer and shod skiers in the winter. You know, it doesn't get as much snow as they get up here, but it's the north slope that really makes it work.
Yeah.
I mean, you could not be on a south slope there because you get
No, you wouldn't.
too many clear days.
Yeah.
You know, you'll never see a snow ghost up there.
No. Yeah, people. I've had talked to a lot of disappointed people about the snow ghost here this year. So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're not there. Huh?
they're not there.
Yeah.
They went north.
Yeah. So, you know, it's got a lot of advantages that way. And it's also, you know, the bad snow years, it's laid out so that you can just ski the top half, which is unique.
Yeah,
You know, everybody else
Upside
has
down.
to,
upside down. Yeah,
everybody else has to ski to the bottom one way or the other, you know, or ride the chairlifts down. Well, here we can operate just on the top half, and they've done that most of this winter. But it's quality ski. You know, there's no bare spots. What's open is all good.
Yeah.
It's on the top half, and you don't have to go to the bottom. And so it's unique in that way. And it's survived with no snowmaking for now going on 28 years.
Yeah.
Not too many skiers today we can say that.
So, with Mission there, has there been any conversation about snowmaking?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where's your water come from today?
It would be, we would set up a trickle system, essentially fill it slow over the summer and put a pond kind of towards Lower Mountain because we'd be looking to make some on the Lower Mountain
Right.
to expand our
And we've got this huge well. It's 1,260 feet deep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Lots of water. But it's also feasible within another well.
Yeah.
And just fill on.
yeah.
You can do that in the summer when there's no demand. Waters would go out. So,
But it'd be, you know, just to extend the season would be huge for us. Where if we're lucky, we get 90 days
Right.
at Blacktail because we operate 5 days a week.
So Mission, has there been any, in terms of, I mean, they pretty much just let the operation.
Yeah, so Mission Ridge did not buy Blacktail. Larry Scrivenich owns Mission Ridge and also purchased
Well,
Blacktail.
I don't.
So it's but it's
No, I mean, it's
Yeah.
a different.
it's a different ski area. We've definitely adopted some of the Mission Ridge ways. We're doing some things the way that they do it. We're also doing things the way that we know how to do them here in the Flathead.
And they seem to be very respectful of that.
Yeah.
From what I can gather, I mean, yeah.
But I think we've built a lot of traction with families in the first 5 or 6 years. And our school group program really kind of helped to feed people to the mountain, show them the ski area. And I used to go to any school that would let me come to PE class and talk about skiing and staying active in winter. And we ran the 5th for Free program. So I was targeting 5th grade kids. And we are a great place to build skiers. And so we do really well with families. And it's a lifetime sport that we can grow from.
Are you going to Folsom?
Yeah, we go to Ronan. We've got schools coming from St. Ignatius, Ronan, Folsom, Kalispell, a lot of middle school groups. We've got a lot of small rural schools that combine together.
Summer operations, are they doing what place?
Yeah, so last summer we tried campsites up at Blacktail and side by side. The Wild Bill ORV trail is right there, right off of Blacktail Mountain Road, and is a really cool trail system.
I came up on my bike too.
Probably parts of it, yeah.
See what, yeah.
Yeah, so we purchased some Can-Am machines and rented those out. We do weddings, private events, that kind of a thing. It's been pretty minimal, but we are trying to get into more seasons of operation just to keep paying the bills. But mainly, we really focus on our maintenance in the summertime.
Right.
So from there. But we're right up next to, so we've got the Wild Bill trails, but we're also right linked up with the Poise to Blacktail trail system and Lakeside to Blacktail. There's a lot of people that are up on the mountain hiking and biking.
Right.
And boy, I could sell them a burger and a beer, I bet.
Yeah.
You know? We also installed a 9-hole disc golf course last summer with the help of the Flathead Valley Disc Golf Association. And that was tons of fun.
And you do weddings, you said?
We do, yeah.
How many of those?
Not many.
A
few here and there. But they're always beautiful. It's, it's kind of, we don't have fancy chairs and tables, so you've got to want the rustic weddings. It's always a very small, hands-on type event for us, but always gorgeous. Yes, ma'am.
What do you think about the new development going in there in Lakeside? Do you think that's going to have an impact on you guys?
Of course, it'll have an impact on the community. I think that we get a lot of questions. Everybody's always like, did Yellowstone Club buy Blacktail? The answer is no. We are on public lands,
Right.
and they're not interested in a public lands operation, I don't believe. So it's, of course, going to have an impact on the community. I think it has the potential to have a positive impact on the community.
But Blacktail has been the catalyst probably for everything that's happened in Lakeside for the last 28 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the development that's happened down there would probably not have happened in Tamarack Brewery.
Right.
And then I will tell you that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the ski.
Wheat fields flying by, sun up on our shoulders, clear blue sky, got heaven here behind.